Sandy says read, and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to do a review and discussion of The Bride of Lycaster by Percy J. But we're also going to do a big old discussion of some problematic events that have happened and some good, positive, happy events that are happening before we talk about The Bride of Lycaster. Now let me go over here to my screen so I can discuss this properly with you guys, okay? This is going to be a video in 3 parts. Part 1 will be a brief look at A Million Lives event in Baltimore, the Black Hearts book signing in Nashville, and then another one I'll name and discuss in a minute. Part 2 is going to be a discussion of 2 events that are doing it right. The Sunshine State Book Festival in Gainesville and the Imaginarium Convention in Louisville, with an honorable mention of the SyFy Florida Convention. And then part 3 is going to be our review and discussion of The Bride of Lycaster, okay? Percy J was one of the authors who participated in the Million Lives event, and I did do a brief, mini book haul from that event. There's a video of that here on the channel, and I'll put a link to that in the drop-down box below. And I will also put timestamps in the drop-down box below. So if there's any portion of this that you guys don't want to sit through, you don't have to sit through it. You can go straight to the timestamp for the part you're most excited about. So let's begin. Let's dive in and get the sort of negativity part done and over with quickly first and out of the way. All right, part 1. Let's run through the icky parts first. Million Lives. Okay, the Million Lives event that took place, guys, there are plenty of videos out there on YouTube and other platforms where you can hear in detail what went on with that. I don't know, it's an event, right? I don't know if we should be calling it a festival at this point or not. Basically, a host of authors paid table fees and shipped their books to Baltimore for an event where a reported 40-ish readers showed up. Let's see. Oh, there's an article about it on the Newsweek site that posted May 5th, and I'll put that in the drop-down box below as well, a link to that. Once authors started speaking out about the problem online, I went to a website that was set up with links to the various authors and illustrators and audiobook narrators. Okay, I went to that website link and I checked out what was available from the different authors. And I went ahead and bought a handful of books. I couldn't buy a ton, you guys. I couldn't support everyone who was there, but I did get 3 books. Those arrived. I did the mini book haul, like I just mentioned. And let's see, it's worth noting that the event organizer, Archer Events, has since canceled the upcoming Elegant Nocturnal Social that was supposed to take place this October 18th in Boston. So I think some lessons may have been learned. I don't know. The next event that has happened to sort of screw with people in the indie author sphere is this Black Hearts thing. Let's see, I wrote here, the next wacky event to make waves was more recent. The Black Hearts book signing was to take place in Nashville on August 2nd, but the event had some hiccups. It's reported by multiple authors that the event organizer switched the location of this thing about a week prior to August 2nd. So then the event organizer canceled the whole thing. Allegedly, people were complaining about things that were going on and wrong with the event. Then allegedly the event organizer said, well, since everyone's complaining, I'm just going to cancel. So let's see, the Wednesday before setup, the event organizer canceled this event. You guys, as an indie author, that hurts my soul. I cannot imagine planning to travel to another city to participate in a book event, getting prepared for that, making my travel arrangements, especially if I have to fly and I'm booking airfare for that, shipping my books to that. There's an expense involved in that, as well as the expense of purchasing, the table, renting the table that you're going to have there. Basically, to have the event canceled a few days before setup, I find that insane. I'm floored by that. And I feel for the authors who were basically shafted by this. There's a long-winded deep dive into all the details at Savvy Writes Books here on YouTube. She has a list in her drop-down box, in her information box. She's got a list of 10 authors with links if you'd like to support those authors. I'm kind of low on funds right now, so I have not purchased any books from those authors, but you can go to Savvy Writes Books and you can see the list of authors who've been basically affected by this cancellation. Now, before I talk about marketing and promoting a book event, let me mention one that's closer to home. And you guys, I didn't want to throw this name out there and like into the title of this video or up in the front part of this video. I didn't want to basically throw this romance writers group under the bus. Okay, I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to throw them under the bus. So let me read for you what I put in my script. I didn't want to throw this name out there to be lumped in with the two we've already mentioned, because this one isn't a travesty. I don't think the event planner was trying to pull anything over on anyone. I think things just got out of her control. I want to talk about the Ignite Your Imagination conference that took place in Tampa in 2023. Guys, as far as I can tell, as far as I can find online, this was the last time that the group did the Ignite Your Imagination conference. And it was, let's see, did I put in here? Yeah, the Florida West Coast Writers held this conference every other year. Awesome and great, right? Okay, so back when I participated in the conference as an exhibiting author and as a panelist, I didn't realize that I should have or could have jumped on social media to get sympathy sales afterward. It was just one more lesson learned for me. I just learned another lesson and I chalked it up as that. So here's what happened. I joined the Florida West Coast Writers, which I think was a chapter of the Romance Writers of America. Folks listening in can correct me on that if I'm wrong. Since the 2023 conference, the club has changed its name to the Emerald Coast Writers, and I'm not sure if it's a Romance Writers of America chapter at this point. The authors in the group were mostly romance authors, a ton of romance authors in there, and good ones at that. Okay, guys, please don't hear this as some kind of criticism of those authors, please. Let's see, I'm fuzzy on those. Okay, I'm fuzzy on those details because I let my membership lapse and no one noticed. The event, the Ignite Your Imagination conference in 2023, was held at the Tampa International Airport Marriott Hotel. Part of the day was panel discussions, which was very nice. There was a luncheon in the middle of the day that was set up for VIP ticket holders, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. There was a 2-hour book signing event that was held at the end of the day for readers and the general public to come to the defunct restaurant at the top of the hotel to meet authors and purchase books. There used to be a restaurant at the top of the Marriott that would turn. It turned so that when you were at your table having dinner, you could see all of Tampa going by. It was a cool thing, but it's no longer a restaurant. When I arrived, I put this in the script, but I don't know, I feel like I'm complaining and I don't want to be complaining. I'm just giving the information. Okay, guys, when I got to the convention, there was no one at the registration area, but there was a very helpful author there, and she, came up to me and helped me find the registration person and like helped me figure out what was going on. So that was nice. Okay. Let's see, the end, and they helped me figure out where the book signing was going to be happening and helped explain that it was only going to be for a 2-hour period. I didn't have to take all my stuff up there. I could take all my stuff to my room. So thank goodness I had a room in the hotel. Let's see. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I don't need to share all my complaints. I don't want to be complaining. The short version, here we go. All right. The short version of this is things were a bit of a mess. Few people knew where to go and when, and there were only 2 readers of the general public at the 2-hour book signing that evening. I would call it a dismal failure from a sales perspective. Okay, now I did film a wrap-up of the event with a book haul afterward, and I put a positive spin on that because I recognized something pretty big that happened to the event director. Okay, and here's where Here's where I don't want to just throw them under the bus because I saw what happened. I think that I saw what happened. Something went wrong with the club's IEN, the writers group's IEN. When that happened, Eventbrite torched the event and canceled tickets. Now, I no longer remember how close to the event that happened, but that's a pretty significant hiccup, okay? When you're relying on those tickets to bring people to the event, to bring attendees in, and all of a sudden Eventbrite is like, oh, never mind, we're canceling all of these. All of a sudden your attendees assume the event has been canceled, the whole event has been canceled, and they don't have to show up. Now, if I remember right, the tickets were actually free to the general public. Like the general public didn't have to pay to come to the signing that evening. It was free. You could just come and meet the authors and buy their books. And that's an awesome idea. Okay. It's encouraging people to show up and meet the authors and buy our books. But you still needed to, get a ticket to come in. You still needed to know what was happening. But when Eventbrite canceled everything, it sent a message. Okay. Let's see. I have in my script here, of course, I had no idea that had happened. So I drove down to Tampa, which is about 90 minutes or so. I drove down to Tampa with my cart of books and flyers. I was expecting to recoup at least part of my fees, but nope. I sold one book to one other author that night. Now, at the time, I didn't have my Choices Meant for Gods series re-release. I didn't have that. So I just took my Vampire Satire series, which is a paranormal romance series. So it fit that audience. It worked for the romance readers who would be attending. I did get to network and, got some books that I purchased to read here on this channel. There were some books that were in like a goodie bag. There were some giveaways there that I also brought here for this channel. So it was not a travesty for me. I did not feel that it was a travesty. I did not feel the need to get on here on my channel and complain about the event. It was not a bad event. There were aspects of it that could have gone better. Of course, there were aspects of it that, maybe I could have gotten on here and been like, oh, you guys feel sorry for me, buy some books for me because my event cost me so much money. Yeah, I could have done that, but why? It didn't feel like that would have been the best way to handle what happened. I did get networking out of it. I did enjoy my time. So I didn't feel like it wasn't on brand for me to come onto this channel and complain about the Ignite Your Imagination conference not being fabulous. Okay. Now, I did mention that I was going to talk a little bit about that VIP luncheon. I don't think I put any, I didn't put any information in the script. So we're just going to wing this. We're going to wing it from what I remember. The VIP luncheon was set up so that readers could meet and have lunch with their favorite author. Cool idea. You guys, I thought that was excellent. And I have mentioned that to some other conventions that I've attended. The way that was set up was that, if there was a specific author who was being featured at the event, you could sign up to be at their table. You would then pay a fee as a VIP member to attend the luncheon at that table. Well, because Eventbrite was canceling things left and right, that kind of got a little screwy. Okay, that didn't go as planned. So when we authors who were just panelists or authors who were just at the signing that evening, when we were there, we were offered the opportunity to be at the luncheon too. We could sit at those tables with those authors because those authors didn't have as many readers coming to them as was expected. So we were able to attend the luncheon and have food, which was very nice. I mean, that was good. And so I was able to sit at an author's table and visit with those authors, do some networking. And I even brought a very nice book. I think it was called A Chance to Bloom. That video is here on the channel. And it was a great book and I enjoyed it. And I brought that review to you guys here. So it worked out as a really good networking event. For me, I felt that it was, and I hope that other authors there felt that way too. I did not see anyone online screaming about it being a bad event. Okay. Okay. Now we'll talk about marketing and promotion of these events in just a second in part 2. But before we leave this whole negative thing that I've been doing here, I want to give a dishonorable mention to a book box fiasco. You guys, I can't even speak. A book box fiasco that is taking place pretty much as I'm filming this thing. Okay, there are some folks out there on the interwebs who are unhappy with a book box subscription service that I'm not going to name because I don't want them coming for me here. But I am going to say even bigger authors get scammed by things in this business too. It's not just the indie authors who are having some troubles out there with people taking advantage of us. See, what did I put in my script? If you're if you are a BookTube content creator out there in the United States, please, in the United States, I have a book box that I have put together. It's got my first book in it, and it's got other goodies and fabulous things that I'm hoping a BookTube content creator would open on their channel, would unbox on their channel and show to their audience all the good things inside of it. Yeah. And then on another video, perhaps you could review the book or share the book with your audience. That is my hope. That is my goal with the book box that I have created, that Sandy Lender created. I've got a handful of them available for free to send to you. Okay. Is that enough of that? We can move on to part 2. All the negativity and all the weirdnesses are done. We're going to talk about good, positive stuff now. On to part 2 and positivity and good stuff. You can probably tell I get really uncomfortable talking about negative things on this channel. It's just not, it's not really my nature to rip on stuff. I don't like that. Part 2. To make this video useful for creatives and readers, let's talk about a couple positive and good events I have experience with. Okay, I am sure I could make a list for you of like events and conventions I've heard about that are like positive experiences for the indie authors who participate. I could probably come up with a list, but I want to like focus on just a couple that I have been to, that I have participated in, that I have had experience with, and I can say to you definitively, these 2 were awesome. These 2 are where I have sold books as an indie author and had a good positive experience. Okay? Okay. I want to walk you through the Sunshine State Book Festival in Gainesville, Florida, and the Imaginarium Convention in Louisville, Kentucky. And we'll give a quick mention to the SyFy Florida Convention, even though I did not participate as an author there. I just went and, okay. Oh yeah, quick disclaimer. None of these are sponsoring this video. Obviously, none of the ones that I was a little negative about are sponsoring, but none of these people are paying me to talk about anything on this video. None of them. I am my own sponsor. And if you want, you can check out my merch shop in the drop-down box below. Okay, Sunshine State Book Festival. The one in 2025 took place on Saturday, February 1st. There were 200 authors participating. 200 indie authors had their wares for sale. There was a workshop on the Friday before. And the workshop, I think that was new this past year. I believe that was a new thing this past year. This was the 6th. 2025 was the 6th year of the Sunshine State Book Festival. And the workshop that they did was like a day-long workshop for authors to just learn some more stuff, learn more about their craft, writing elements, that kind of thing. I didn't get to attend. I work during the week. You guys know, I have a day job. I'm an editor during the week. So Friday, I was not able to get there until late in the day. Let's see. The Sunshine State Book Festival is free to the general public. Like if you are a reader and you want to go get some cool books, it's free for you to go and attend. Now, there is a $65 table fee for participating authors. So it costs $65 for me to be an author there. That fee includes 1/2 of a 6-foot draped table and 2 chairs, so I can have a helper come with me. If I had a helper, you get a listing in the program because there is a printed program that they hand out to attendees who come in. You get a listing on the website And as of this video, my information is up on the website now. So I will put a link to that in the drop-down box below. You get entry to the Friday reception for the authors who are participating. You get, the reception has, you know, non-alcoholic beverages and some hors d'oeuvres and great conversation. And then you get breakfast on Saturday, which is like just a little continental breakfast, pastries and juice and coffee, the all important coffee, and then lunch on Saturday. Yeah, so your $65 is getting you everything that you need, okay? Then let's see, what else do I have on here? Gainesville Writers Alliance is the group that hosts this, that puts this on, and they promote this thing all over the state of Florida, but also heavily in the Gainesville area. Readers of all ages show up. In 2026, it will be held on January 24th at the Santa Fe College Fine Arts Hall, and this will be the 7th year. Again, I'll put a link to that in the drop-down box below. I can say that I have had a positive, good experience the 2 years that I have participated. I had considered, you know, this next year sitting it out because I've been there for 2 years in a row now. And the audience that comes through, the readers who come through, have seen me for 2 years in a row now. So maybe I should skip a year, go the next year, you know, skip 7 and go 8. But I got to thinking, hey, I sell books at this thing. I get my name out at this thing. I hand out flyers and bookmarks at this thing. So even if a reader has seen me before, they can pick up a bookmark to hand to someone else. It is an event where I actually get some sales. So it would be silly for me to not take advantage of it. And for 2026, I'm not pushing the fantasy books that I've been pushing for the past 2 events. I'm going to push my Silver Bells Christmas horror story instead. So I'm going to be in the horror thriller side of the room in 2026. So that's going to be different. I'm going to be in just a totally different part of the room, a totally different part of the hall, and I'll see how that goes. We'll see how that works out. Is that okay? That's all I had in the script to talk about on the Sunshine State Book Festival. Hopefully you guys can tell that I think it is a valuable experience for authors. Now, obviously, that's for authors in Florida or the Southeast. There are authors who come down from Georgia who participate in that, okay? So it's not like you have to be in Florida to participate. If you're in the Southeast, I think it is a valuable experience. So now let's talk about Imaginarium. You guys, I am a huge supporter of the Imaginarium convention. I know the people who run it. I know the couple who has their heart and soul invested in this convention. I know them personally. I know some of the helpers who helped them put this thing together, I know them. I know they're good people. And so I support what they're trying to do here. It is a convention for creatives. It's not just authors and indie authors who go to this convention. It is also illustrators and artists. It is also, you know, painters and sculptors. It is also film creators. It is also people who write screenplays, and then people who film movies and commercials, and people who make music, and musicians, and people who have bands, and you guys, it's everybody. People who make games and create games, board games and games on your computer. It's everybody. Everybody in the creative sphere is not just attending, but is welcome to attend. It's an inclusive event. Let me get back on script. Okay, exhibit spaces sell out in both areas. Yeah, they have 2 areas where you can be an exhibitor as an indie author or other creative. There's the exhibit hall, of course. And then there's what they call Creatives Alley. Creatives Alley is out within like the lobby and foyer area of the host hotel where this thing is taking place. So Creatives Alley it's getting a lot of foot traffic. Therefore, it is less, I don't want to say less secure, but at night it is less secure. So it is a lesser price because the team they cannot guarantee security. So at the end of each day, as an author or as an artist, you do want to You take your stuff down, put it under the table, or take it up to your room, however you want to handle that. Okay, let's move on. 3 days. Okay, Imaginarium has 3 days of panels, workshops, film festival, exhibit hall hours, etc. The Creatives Alley is free to the public who's walking around, okay, because it's the hotel lobby and foyer, and I mean, people can just walk through. So it's free to the public. The exhibit hall is not free to the public. I believe, and someone out there can correct me if I'm wrong, back in the early days of the convention, I think the exhibit hall used to be free to the public, and that's why it was a question in my mind. So I texted Stephen and Holly. I'm like, hey guys, is that free to the public? It's not any longer because there is security. They do have a staff that's policing the badges and watching who's coming and going. And that would become just a nightmare to try to police the badges of who can come into the exhibit hall and who can't, and who can go into the sessions and the seminars and who can't. So now it's, if you've got a badge, you can go into the exhibit hall. If you don't have a badge, you can go over to the registration desk and get your badge taken care of, right? I mean, that just makes it easier because it's not a huge operation behind the scenes. It's growing huge in front of the scenes, but yeah. Okay, does that make sense? I don't know if that made sense. Let's move on. The conference portion requires a badge. There you go. And you can purchase 1 day and full weekend passes to attend. If you're a guest panelist, if you're an indie author or a film creator or such, you can get a discount off the weekend pass. There are 2 levels of exhibiting: Creatives Alley, we just mentioned, and then the main hall. And right now, as of me filming this, they are available at early bird discount that ends on September 15th. So I'll try to get this uploaded quickly so that you guys still have time to make some decisions about travel to Louisville. Okay, so what do you get with that? As I mentioned with the Sunshine State Book Festival, there was $65 for those tables, and you got like a half of a 6-foot table and a list of things. For the Imaginarium, it's a bit more robust in what they're bringing to you. And the Creatives Alley currently is $150, and the main hall is $250. What you get with that is 1 draped 8-foot table for the entire convention, plus 2 chairs. And you get a pass for you and 1 helper to the event. And that gets you into the exhibit hall and all the sessions. There's over 100 sessions over those 3 days. So when I go to Imaginarium, I have to I go over the program ahead of time to figure out, well, first of all, I got to figure out what panels I'm on, and then I have to figure out which other ones I want to attend and when I can attend that, because I got to be at my table too. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Okay, so the marketing and promotion of it. 7th Star Press promotes this thing all over the United States and internationally. They do have international attendees. In 2025, the local promotion took a step up with interviews, plural, on local TV news channels. The convention also partners with other conventions and bookshops in the region for cross-promotion. 7th Star Press also promotes the convention on its weekly Star Chamber podcast, now platformed live on Podbean and uploaded on all the usual services afterward. 2026, Imaginarium will be held July 17th through 19th at the Holiday Inn Louisville East. And this is its 13th year. So it's been around a little while. All right. I will put a link to that in the drop-down box below, and I welcome you to check it out before September 15th. Okay, now I wanted to do just a quick little mention of SyFy Florida Convention. Even though I have not participated as an author, I went there this year. This was the first year I'd heard of it. The 2025 convention took place May 17th. It was a 1-day thing. They had food trucks and stuff outside. They had a booth where you could do gravity defying stuff. Oh no, I did not do that because the vertigo thing was going on. I just looked at it and went, huh, that would send me to the hospital. Okay. Let's see. I know next to nothing about this event. It was busy when my friend Karen and I attended. It was pretty busy. Like we were walking through the aisles and it was packed. Okay. It was like we had to shuffle around people to get from booth to booth to see all the stuff we wanted to see. So it was well attended when we were there. I picked up some books for this channel. There's a mini book haul. I think the mini book haul was part of my May wrap up at the end of May. See, I want to shout out one of the artists who was there. I was running out of money and I wanted to buy books. Okay. I didn't want to buy just tchotchkes for myself. I wanted to buy books for this channel. So I was running out of money and I did not buy anything from this creative, but I wanted to share with you guys this artist's bookmark. What is this thing? Business card, you guys. This is Alchemy and Artistry. Look at this. Alchemy and Artistry is the name of this. I don't know if there's a glare on it or not because I can't see the screen. Oh, here's the back. Alchemy and Artistry. This person, she was making like octopi out of the clay. Like she was sculpting these octopi and she was doing it herself. Each one had its own characterizations, its own personality, and it was set up in so cute and so clever. I will tell you, hold on guys, let me see. www.alchemyandartistry.com. I hope I remember to put a link to that in the drop down box below. It was so cute. They were so nicely done. And she does not use a digital printer to do her stuff. She sculpts these things herself. She paints them herself. She puts her own creativity into it and makes them so cute and so cool. I thought they were great. Once again, no one is sponsoring this. I just thought they were great. Okay, so the SyFy Florida Convention, I heard of it. I learned of it when Corin Nemec had a post about it on his page on Twitter. He had a post in his feed saying that he was going to be one of the guests there. And I wanted to meet him. I wanted to see him. So yeah, I went to see him. So I don't know what other promotion and marketing they do to promote and market the SyFy Florida Convention. I don't know. So we're going to move on. We're going to move on to talk about the promotion and marketing these events did. I mention it for a reason. Get ready. Get ready for a couple of statements. Okay, I firmly believe in the organizers of the event having a promotion arm that advertises their own event to pull in attendees. I mean, if you aren't advertising and marketing your event, what are you thinking? Right? Okay. How do you expect the general public to learn about you and show up if you're not marketing, promoting, advertising? But also, you guys hang on to your hats because I'm going to say it. Also, the vendors, the exhibitors, and the creatives who are part of the event have a responsibility to assist in that. I said it. I believe it. I will die on that hill. You guys, yes, we indie authors are usually strapped for cash. We usually are. And we've paid our fees, expecting some of those fees to go toward marketing and promotion and advertising. And these things are different. They are separated, but we pay our fees expecting some of those fees to go toward some advertising. We expect some of that money is going toward helping pull in general public readers, right? People who want to purchase our art. But we also have a responsibility to help with that. Okay. I'm not going to read this next part. Let me go to the next part. When I'm accepted to be part of a signing event, whether that's at Barnes and Noble, whether that's, one of these conventions, right? I tell everyone I know. Okay. I shout it from the rooftops. I put that news in my newsletter the minute I'm accepted. This, the Sunshine State Book Festival, I went and I looked, and lo and behold, I'm on the website now. I'm going to put that in the next newsletter, the August newsletter. August is done. In the September newsletter, the September 1 newsletter, I'm going to have information about the book festival coming up in January. Okay, let's see. I announce it on my social media platforms. There are some folks who don't mind me texting them that kind of stuff. Okay. I have friends and family who are pretty chuffed when I get to attend another event, when I get to be part of a signing or an event or a convention. They get excited about that for me. Even if they can't fly down here to Florida or fly over to Louisville, they're still excited for me. I mean, they know that I'm trying with this side hustle, okay? One year for Imaginarium, I took out a classified ad in the back of Writer's Digest magazine, okay? It was not cheap. It was like $200, right? But at that year, I happened to have the extra $200. I could do it. So I took out an ad. Now, it was not come see Sandy in Louisville. It was come see all these authors. Come see this creatives convention where you can learn more about your craft, where you can buy some books from these folks. Okay, it was one of those, all boats rise with a rising tide kind of type of ad, because I know the general public, the average reader of Writer's Digest isn't going to give a flip about Sandy Lender being at Imaginarium. But your average reader of Writer's Digest is probably going to be more excited about the fact that there's this creatives convention that's all inclusive, that is a warm atmosphere, that it's a safe space where they could go and learn some more about their craft. Okay. Okay. That, my friends, that's the kind of thing that I'm not saying everyone out there who is an indie author and who signs up for an event like the Million Lives Festival is supposed to take out an additional $200 from their indie marketing budget and spend it on an ad for a convention that they signed up for. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, as indie authors, we get to help make the event successful as best we can, right? I mean, now I am aware that the authors who participated in A Million Lives, the authors that were going to participate in the Black Hearts book signing, they were posting on their Facebook pages, on their other social media platforms, a picture of themselves with a banner about, the Black Hearts book signing. I saw that. For this, the Elegant Nocturnal Special, that social, Nocturnal Elegant Social. You guys, I don't even remember the name of it now, but that event that was going to happen in October, they already had a couple of authors who were going to be participating. I saw little badges for those authors, and there's the author's picture, and there's her name, and there's, she's participating in this, and it was very pretty. It was elegantly done, right? So that author was already promoting the fact that she was going to be there. Good on you. That's the way to do it. When you've been accepted to something like that, post about it. Tell the world. That's how we can help make the event a success. That's how we can help make the event known to the general public. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I'm not saying that the authors in the Million Lives event didn't do that. I know many of them did. I know many of them were on their social media platforms saying, hey, I'm going to be there. I hope you're there too. I know that was happening. I'm just saying that that is something we need to encourage one another in. I think, yeah. For the Million Lives event in May, I'm not sure the organizer did too much to let the general public know what was available. I think that's the one that only had about 40 attendees. And I just don't think the organizer did, well, obviously didn't do enough, but I don't think they did much to bring in the general public. They didn't do enough to support their authors, in my opinion. Now, let's move on to something very good that came out of the Million Lives event. New books. Part 3 of today's video is going to be a review and discussion of The Bride of Lycaster by Percy J. I did go to the website that I mentioned, the page on the website that I mentioned, to look up some of the offerings from the authors that were basically shafted by the Million Lives event. There were 3 books in particular that I decided I wanted to order. Those arrived. I did the mini book haul. The first one I picked up to read was this one, The Bride of Lycaster by Percy J. I'm going to do what we typically do here on the channel. go over the specs and all that good stuff. But before we begin, I want to show you, okay, you can see the cover. It's a really pretty cover, right? It's striking and lovely with all of its art. The art continues, then onto the back. Very nice. But look at this. When you make the book naked, it is still lovely and gorgeous. Ta-da! Isn't that nice? Isn't that pretty? Mm-hmm. And those flowers that you see, there's a tie-in to the story. It's very nice. And down. See the back, sword on the back, the shiny dagger. The specs for The Bride of Lycaster. It's by Percy J. Copyright 2023. And because it was so recently released, I'm going to try not to give any spoilers until we get to a certain point. At a certain point in the video, there will be some spoilers, and I will let you know before that happens. Okay, I will make it very clear that we're entering spoiler territory so that you guys can either mute or step away from the video. All right. Okay. It is published by Fable House Press. This particular version is 371 pages. It's written in first-person point of view. You know my opinion of that, but it's in past tense, which is very nice. Okay. The first person point of view, I was so disappointed because, you guys, it was unfortunate because there were elements of the story that I think could have been developed more if we could have gone to another character, if we could have gone to another place, like another setting, and seen another character's point of view. There were a couple times when I wished, oh, hey, I wish we could have gone to Brietta's and seen what was going on with her. I wish we could have gone there and, yeah, but we couldn't because we were stuck in Seraphina's point of view. And we'll talk about her in a second. Okay, let me read the back cover. Hold on. Let me read the back cover for you guys. Lies flew off my tongue like notes to a song, and I could play the strings of someone's heart like a harp. But that did not mean I would not be a satisfactory bride. I was a Ravenwood. I had to use all that I had to survive. Apparently, all I had was a strong wit and a quick tongue. Now, that doesn't give us all that I want it to give us, so I'm going to read the inside flap as well. Seraphina Ravenwood is a liar, caught between bloodthirsty giants destroying her homeland and a cruel duke who shatters her family. Seraphina only has one option to survive: marry the heir to the dukedom of Lycaster. Seraphina spends 7 years charming and deceiving him into securing her place as his wife. As her promised marriage was within her grasp, a notorious half-giant known only as the Beast crushes her plans. But the half-giant is only the beginning. She learns the glittering life of Lycaster's court is nothing more than a world of beautiful lies. To survive in the endless labyrinth of deceit, Seraphina must become more than just a bride. She will shed her white dress and transform into a plotter, a lover, a manipulator, a rival, and an assassin, or else her fate is sealed. Let me consult the notes, you guys. I have for you a Sandy synopsis without spoilers. Okay, I'm being so careful with this, you guys. We have a society where high-born daughters go to a school, and this is the Ashmore Academy for young ladies. The high-born daughters go to a school to keep them pure before the high-born sons select which of them they'll marry. Our main character, Seraphina, wants to manipulate the Duke's son into selecting her so she can save her family's estate and her own birthright. That gets screwed up. Now let's do our character list. And again, I'm going to try to be very careful not to give any spoilers in discussing our characters. Seraphina Helia Ravenwood. She also goes by Sarah. And when she's trading letters back and forth during this 7 years that our cover flap talked about, she goes by Birdie. Her parents are Frederick and Adalia. They are the Baron and Baroness of Ravenwood. And I have to mention, during the month of July, I read the Jane Austen Project, and the characters in that book were taking on the persona of Dr. Ravenwood and Mary Ravenwood. They were a brother and sister team. And so this is the second book I read I think I read this one in June, but this was the first book I read. But there were two books I read like back to back where Ravenwood was the main character, and it kind of messed with me. Okay. That's neither here nor there. Okay, so Seraphina has two brothers. Her brothers, Eric and Ender, died in battle with the giants, and that happens off screen before the story begins. Lord Alistair Derek Prevail Highton. He's kind of our other main character at the beginning. He goes by the nickname of Midnight when they're trading letters back and forth. His parents are the Duke and Duchess of Lycaster. One of his relatives, his uncle, is the general who ordered the Ravenwoods and a beast into battle. The next set of characters, these guys, they're sort of minor characters, side characters, okay? We have Brietta Alice Elvar. She's a large girl who is Seraphina's friend. When I say she's a large girl, I mean that she's very tall, she's big. And the other girls in this Ashmore Academy for young ladies, they tease her because she is a large girl. They call her a half giant. And that's because her family is of a larger race or a larger breed of human. Okay, they're just larger. They just are. The next character is Annalisa Highton. She is Derek's twin sister. Derek, the Duke's son. So Annalisa is the Duke's daughter. Next, we have Fraile. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but this is a sorceress. She's the great sorceress of Nordengard. And we're going to go to page 30 to hear what she has to say. When Fraile, when the sorceress comes to the academy, she is basically assessing each of the young ladies who is about to graduate. These young ladies, they are of age to be presented for marriage. So she's telling them what their skill is, what they bring to a marriage, and whether or not they are satisfactory brides for marriage. And Fraile is looking at Seraphina at this point. And remember, we're in Seraphina's point of view, so all of the I statements are coming from Sarah. Fraile looked down at me for a moment before she spoke in a chilling voice. I see you, Seraphina Ravenwood. Your accomplishments are nothing you have learned here. She pointed her long finger at my forehead with her sharp fingernail barely touching my skin. A chill shot from my head to my toes, and I stopped myself from quivering. You have a strong wit. She moved her finger down to my lips, and a quick tongue. She removed her finger from my lips and placed her hands behind her back. You are manipulative and an excellent liar. Moving on to General Highton. He is the Duke's brother, so he's Derek's uncle, and he is representing a suitor at this selection of brides that's coming up. Then we have Sir Rian Bloodstone. He's the hero of Lycaster, and he's also known as the Beast. He is also one of these large people. He's considered a half giant. He's just that huge. And they call him the Beast because he's so big and because he is able to rip apart the giants in battle. Then we have Nicholas and Hilda. They are Rian's grandparents. So Nicholas and Hilda Bloodstone, they're not his parents, they're his grandparents. Then we have Astrid, who is Rian's mother. And she is basically, I don't want to call her psychotic, but she is mentally unwell. When Rian was born, she was already unwell. She was becoming unwell. So she has never, been able to help or take care of Rian. Therefore, the grandparents have always done so. That makes sense? Okay, I'm trying not to give too much away. You guys, I already filmed the review of this book, and it was so poorly done that I'm redoing it as basically tacking it on to the end of this longer discussion because it was just so poorly done. I was trying so hard not to give anything away that I couldn't talk about the book much at all because some twists happen pretty early on in the story. And those twists affect the rest of the story. So I could not talk about the book pretty much at all. Now, I am going to I'm going to talk a little bit about Seraphina without giving things away, and then we'll get into spoiler territory. So let's go ahead and talk about part of the world building with Seraphina. There is this blood magic that takes place, or that needs to take place, after the highborn sons choose their highborn female to be their wife. Okay, the sorceress from the north, the one whose name I can't pronounce, Frale, performs a ceremony with each of the couples. Like, all the couples stand in a circle around her, and she performs a ceremony with them and has them drink this like blood mixture. And the blood mixture, with her sorcery, causes each couple to bond. It's a partial bond at first, and after they consummate their marriage, it will be a full, total, complete bond. They will be bonded to one another. Everyone in the society who has gone through this becomes bonded. The senior bloodstones, both Nicholas and Hilda, they are bonded through this blood magic. So if something happens to Nicholas, it will also happen to Hilda. If something happens to Hilda, it will also happen to Nicholas. This same thing took place with the Duke and his wife. If something happens to the Duke's wife, it will also happen to the Duke. So if someone murders the Duke, they will also murder the wife. Does this make sense? Okay, so there's this blood magic bond that happens in the world building that Percy has put together. So when the selection of brides happens and our main character, Seraphina, is selected, she is now bound to a groom, a husband. Okay. Let's move on. What else can I say without giving stuff away? I think that Seraphina is an unreliable narrator. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of why I think so, and then we're going to go into spoiler territory. So let me tell you why I think so. Okay, we're being told on the back cover of the novel, when we meet Frale, the sorceress, we're told Seraphina is a liar. She's not reliable. Okay, she's a liar. She's manipulative. In the very first part of the book, and I'll go ahead and tell you this part. In the very first part of the book, she meets the Duke's son. She meets Derek, and she's like, "Oh, I need to manipulate him to fall in love with me so that I can marry him." Okay, we're told that sort of thing on the front cover flap, right? The inside front cover flap. We're told she's going to manipulate this guy into falling in love with her so that she can, secure her birthright, so you can secure the Ravenwood future, right? Okay, so she wants to manipulate him. This is her character. And I don't think that makes a reliable narrator for our story. And that's going to matter as we dive into a little bit of discussion that is going to give some spoilers. So here, you guys, is where you might want to turn away. If you have not already read The Bride of Lycaster by Percy J, then now is when you might want to look away from the video, go ahead and click out, go ahead and give it a thumbs up for all of the fabulous discussion we've had so far. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel, and I welcome you to come to the next video. But now, for those of you sticking around, let's dive into pages 138 and 139, where I'm going to share with you a little bit more of the discourse, a little bit more of the author's writing style, as we do here in these videos. And we're going to look at Seraphina being kind of awful, okay? Because after this, later in the story, she comes to realize she was kind of awful here. And I think we see in this example, I think we see how she's an unreliable narrator here. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to be talking about. In this section that I'm going to read for you, the selection of brides has happened. And as was hinted on the inside front cover flap, the wrong person chose Seraphina. Derek was forced, therefore, to choose someone else as his bride. And the person he chose was Brietta, who we talked about is Seraphina's friend. So Derek and Brietta are going to have to consummate their marriage. But they thought, well, no, if we don't consummate our marriage in time, then Derek can go ahead and claim Seraphina later. And that'll be awesome and great for her and him. Okay, that's their plan. The plan doesn't go as planned. And Derek and Brietta end up consummating their marriage in a kind of public way. And Derek's father, the Duke, is like, my son has consummated his marriage and this is fantastic. And so he grabs Derek out of this room where this sex act has taken place, and he pulls him out into this party, and he's like, my son, he has consummated his marriage. And that's where we pick it up. He is basically parading his son around, and Serafina is in the party, and she's like, what has just happened? You've got to be kidding me. In my rage, I spotted Duke Hyton dragging Derek around the ballroom in a sort of drunken parade. Every noble that passed him gave Derek a clap on the back or offered him more wine to celebrate his glorious achievement. I nearly spun on my heels and left the ballroom, but his beautiful yet sad eyes found mine through the crowd. Any hatred I had for him instantly slipped away. He looked back at me like he wanted to jump into the black pit with me and stay there for eternity. I could not hate Derek. That would be unfair. Someone else shared the blame for my life shredding to bits in an instant. Brietta, my supposed best friend, the person who agreed to an annulment because she had brothers to care for, while I had nothing. Brietta did not care that I had nothing. She was from the house of Elvar. Her spoiled, overprivileged ass never knew what nothing was like. My rage ignited into a burning fury. I would give her a taste of what nothing could really do. My eyes darted to the open door of the small waiting room, and my outrage pushed me through the crowd. Inside, I found Brietta, sitting on the very same couch we had just relaxed on together. Her tiara sat askew on top of her mussed hair. She did not even give me the decency of looking at me. She just sat there, hands folded on top of her wrinkled skirt, and stared at the gold wallpaper with her brown eyes as wide as tea saucers. That effing bee. I slammed the sitting room door closed behind me. How could you? You ruined everything. It was the magic, Sarah, Brietta pleaded, her eyes welling up with tears. We did not mean to. It all happened so quickly. 1 minute we were dancing, and the next... She was an idiot if she thought I was going to dry her tears again. Do you realize what you have done? You doomed me to life with a monster. You doomed Ravenwood. You betrayed me, Brietta. Brietta dipped her head so low her tiara nearly fell off. I am sorry. It was not my fault. I did not want to. Oh, it was all just the magic. My teeth ached from fury. She thought I was stupid. She thought I was less than nothing. Tell me then why the magic has not worked that way on Dinah, or Camille, or me. Stop making excuses. Admit that you chose to F my Derek. Okay, so we're seeing here that, hopefully you're seeing here, that Brietta is not real sure of what just happened. Brietta and Derek are victims of this magic. They are victims of a situation. Brietta especially is a victim of what has just happened. And Serafina, who is supposed to be her best friend, is raging at her and railing at her and screaming at her and accusing her. She is piling on to what was probably a non-consensual act. Okay, I'm disgusted with Serafina at this point. She's reprehensible to me at this point. Now, we do see her later in the book receiving a letter from Brietta, and she's upset by that letter, but she starts to understand, hey, the stuff happening back there at the dukedom, back there at the Duke's establishment, back there at his castle, is not great. And maybe I was in the wrong to just assume things. We do start to see her learning. Maybe she's going through a bit of an arc where she's figuring out, hey, not everything is always about me. We do start to see that toward the end of the book, I guess. We start to see she's not as reprehensible. That leads me to think that in the early parts of the book, she's not a reliable narrator. She's an unreliable narrator. When we're seeing her be so vicious toward Brietta, we're not seeing We are seeing things through her eyes, but her eyes are seeing horribleness. We're not seeing the right thing through her eyes unless we try to read between the lines. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I thought she was an unreliable narrator until we get toward the end. Okay, I think I should probably stop there. I don't want to come across as negative, okay? Yes, I found the main character to be difficult to enjoy, okay? But the book overall was, the world building was good, okay? The world building was put together very well. I mean, the blood magic made sense. And because of the blood magic bonding those characters, the characters had to behave certain ways. The blood magic set up conflicts that had to be resolved certain ways. Okay, so the world building was very good. I just didn't care for the main character. Now, another thing I want to mention, in the beginning of the book, in the very first, in the front matter, Percy does give us a list of like trigger warnings and things to watch out for. But she says this story contains dark fantasy themes and is not recommended for readers under age 18. Although the content is written to uplift and empower survivors of mental illnesses and abuse, reader discretion is advised. And then there's your list of trigger warnings. She says it is not for readers under the age of 18. Yet quite a lot of the storytelling in the beginning especially felt like it had young adult themes to it. The early part of it, and maybe that's because the main character and her friends were young ladies at this academy for young ladies, right? So the worries about, am I going to be a satisfactory bride, and the worries of what dress am I going to wear, and people making a dress for Brietta because she wasn't originally going to be graduating the same year as everyone else. I mean, the focus on making dresses was very young adults in its feeling, but then we started focusing quite a lot on, okay, sex has to happen. How is that going to happen? When is that going to happen? And sex became quite the overarching theme of the novel for quite the rest of it. That makes sense. Okay, so, is that confusing? I think that even though there are these ideas that are very young adult in feel and thought in the beginning, those do slide away. And that over 18 concept really drives home for the rest of the book, is what I'm trying to say. Yes, it is an over 18 novel. So, you guys, The Bride of Lycaster by Percy J is definitely an adult themed novel. Once you get past these academy for young ladies, once you get past that, yes, definitely an adult themed novel. Okay, you guys, thumbs up for supporting indie authors, especially after negative events have screwed with their careers. I think that's all I have. I want to thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for checking out all the information that I'm going to cram into the info box below. And I will see you in the next one.